Greetings! I am Herbert Erpaderp, and this is Herbert Erpaderp's Quick Tips. So you've slaved over a hot modelling bench for hours, and now your model is ready for painting. What do? Just paint the model? Not so fast. First, you should attach it to something to use as a handle while you paint. This will allow you to hold the model while you paint it without actually touching it. You don't want to ruin your lovely layers of paint and hours of hard work with skin oils now, do you? Of course you don't. Anyway, this video will show you a couple of ways I attach models to holders for painting. I use a lot of BluTAC for this kind of thing. It's just a putty-like reusable adhesive product, and it's a really useful thing to have on hand for modelling. I'm sure this stuff is available in the UK, but I don't know if BluTAC specifically is available in other countries. You should be able to find similar products in the stationery sections of various stores. It might be known as Poster Putty or Sticky Tack or something like that. This stuff is pretty fun to play with. The first method I'm going to show you is what I usually do with tanks, especially 28mm scale tanks like this Sentinel. I take a good-sized blob of BluTAC. This stuff is cheap and reusable, so don't be stingy with it. I stick the blob onto a plastic disposable shot glass. As you can see, these are reused paint mixing cups. Then I stick the shot glass to the underside of the tank. Simple enough. I apply a lot of pressure when doing this to make sure it sticks good and proper. The result works as a fairly stable stand if you don't want to hold the model, and a good handle if you do. Resin and metal tanks are fairly heavy, but if you use a good amount of BluTAC, it will stay attached to the shot glass pretty well. The turret can be stuck to a shot glass in the same way as the hull. It's pretty simple stuff. The BluTAC will cover a spot on the underside of both parts, so this is not super effective if you want to paint the bottom of your model too. For tanks like these, it's not really a problem for me. I don't usually paint the underside anyway. The next method is what I like to do with smaller tanks like 15mm scale, where I might want to paint the underside of the tracks. The shot glass is a bit wide and will get in the way. For a light plastic model like this, we can use a little bit less BluTAC, and instead of a shot glass, I like to use a Popsicle stick. You can see this one has been used before. Reusing things is good. Simply press the Popsicle stick into the BluTAC on the bottom of the hull. It'll hold the model pretty well, even if you feel like shaking it around for whatever reason. You can angle the stick downward away from the model's hull, so you can paint the underside of the ends of the tank pretty easily. You can attach the turret to a Popsicle stick much in the same way as the hull. Again, very simple. Just be careful not to get any BluTAC on the areas you would prefer to get paint on. When I paint a heavier resin and metal tank in 15mm scale, I usually prefer to attach them to a Popsicle stick with Superglue. The only problem is you pretty much have to attach it to a flat surface, which will normally be the bottom of the tank. So it can be hard to paint under the end of the hull. There's nothing especially difficult about this. The bond is pretty strong and can stand up to a good amount of bouncing and shaking and such. I also do this with metal 15mm scale infantry figures if I'm painting them separately without bases. You paint your model, apply the protective clear coat, and when you're done, you can simply rip the Popsicle stick off. It might leave a little bit of itself behind. If this is an issue, you could scrape that off. Though since I usually attach this to the underside of tank hulls, where it won't be visible anyway, I just leave it this way. The final thing I'm going to show you is how I prepare figures for bolt action or malifaux like this nice fellow here. When assembling the model, I drill a hole into its foot. If not the foot, I choose the least visible spot. Then I use superglue and glue a piece of brass rod into the hole in the foot. This is the same stuff you get in pinning kits for metal models. I found it cheaper just to buy generic brass rod from a hobby shop rather than wargaming specific pinning kits. If the hole is a bit tight, take some small pliers and apply some pressure to force the rod down into the hole. But don't press too hard, or you might hurt yourself, or worse, the model. Then you can simply trim the brass rod down to a more sensible size. Once the model has been painted, this brass rod works very well for pinning it to a base to give it that little bit of extra strength, which is a nice little bonus. So those are a few simple ways I attach models to things, to make painting them easier and to avoid touching the model while it's being painted. These aren't the only methods, but they're the ones I like to use. Instead of using plastic shot glasses, some people use wine corks, and I know a lot of people use old Games Workshop paint pots. I don't do that because, well, I don't have any. There's bound to be plenty of things on your workbench that could be repurposed as a model holder. Be creative with this kind of thing. So, what do you think? Do you use any of these methods? Have you got any interesting ones of your own that you would like to share? Let me know in the comments section below. And if you have any suggestions for things you would like to see me demonstrate or attempt in a future Herbert Erpaderp's quick tips, put those in the comments section too, along with any other questions or comments you might have. Don't forget to do all the YouTubey things such as liking and subscribing if you like the stuff I do. And if you really like the videos I make, please consider helping to support the channel via Patreon. If you want to check that out, there's a link to my Patreon in the description and on screen now. As always, I shall return soon. So until then, happy modelling and thanks for watching. Farewell.